Coming up on Market Shares, the Supreme Court rules on Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs, the impact here at home and abroad.
And Warner Bros. Is opening the door for Paramount to make one final offer in the ongoing bidding war.
And it's green across the board following the Supreme Court's tariff announcement. Hold on to your wallets because Market Shares starts right now. Good afternoon and welcome into Market Shares. I'm Riley Underwood.
And I'm Teaghan Brostrom. Markets closed just a few minutes ago, so let's take a look at how the major indexes closed out the week.
And they're all green right now.
Getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, Riley.
Great news for investors. Green, 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 all green across the board. And it's largely because of the rollback of some of the tariffs. The Supreme Court invalidated Trump's broad emergency tariff. So, of course, that makes goods cheaper to import. So investors are liking that, and stocks are all going up, it seems like.
Yeah, green across the board, like we've been saying, and things are going to be cheaper for consumers and looking good for investors as well.
And it's different than last week because last week we saw red across the board, largely because of those tech stocks. And now, even with the tech chips and other things, they're cheaper now to import. So goods are now looking better for investors. So stock market is going up. Let's take a look at our first market mover, New Balance. And, you know, it's down right now just on the week, but there's a much broader picture because it is up over $2 in the past 2 weeks. New Balance, that's a lot because it's trading at just under $9. So overall, that's a big increase. New Balance sales grew 19% to $9.2 billion in 2025. That's the biggest growth in the shoe industry. For comparison, Nike actually went down in their sales.
That's huge. Nike is huge in the footwear company.
Right, and since 2020, New Balance has grown sales by a staggering 180%. This is something you may remember in middle school. If you were rocking New Balance, you may get poked fun at it for. Now it's the cool thing to do to wear New Balance.
It's the dad shoe.
You see your favorite athletes rocking it. Now it's not just for the dads.
Exactly. Yeah, we have Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills quarterback. We're in the Bills land right now. He has a partnership with New Balance. So does Shohei Ohtani with the LA Dodgers. So great partnerships with athletes, and I think that's contributing to a lot of their success.
Jack Harlow, Kawhi Leonard, those are cool guys. Those are cool guys, and people are rocking the shoes.
Exactly. All right, well, moving next to Etsy, also green, following those indexes. And Etsy had quite a bit of success this past week, up 10% in the past 5 days. And that's mainly because eBay bought Etsy's Depop, which is a secondhand clothing brand. And Etsy bought Depop around 5 years ago as a way to kind of interact with younger users and younger customers. But they sold the company around on Wednesday for around $1.2 billion to eBay, excuse me. And the company said that they really wanted to focus on their core marketplace. So they've since sold it, and that's helped them a lot this week.
Let's take a look at our third and final market mover. That's Live Nation. They're up almost 6% on the week, and that's because their annual revenues just passed $25 billion for the first time. Attendance for concerts continues to grow. They're pushing into the international market as well as here in the United States. Millions of tickets already being sold for early 2026 tours. I know A Boogie with the Hoodie is coming to Syracuse at the On Center next month. He was here 2 years ago. I went to that one. So a lot of people are going to that as well. But you've just seen, even with the court cases that's gone on, which some investors are still a little wishy-washy about, because that is going to progress in the courts. So that could maybe move it lower later on. But right now it's green because people, just to put it frankly, are buying concert tickets.
Exactly. And a lot of people are a lot of artists are going on tour this summer. But it is a little surprising to see Live Nation doing so well because of Ticketmaster and all the, concerns and frustration people have with Ticketmaster. Noah Kahan's 2026 tour tickets just came out a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people had trouble getting those tickets because of Ticketmaster. So it's kind of surprising to see Live Nation doing so well.
Are you going to that concert?
I didn't get tickets.
No tickets?
No tickets. I wasn't able to get tickets. The queues are so long, and there's a lot of glitches on the website sometimes, so I will be missing out on that one. What about you?
A Boogie?
No.
Oh, no good.
Yeah,
no good.
No concerts for me this summer.
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled against President Donald Trump's use of tariffs that we talked about under the International Emergency Powers Act, which was used to collect billions of dollars in revenue.
In response, President Trump says he will sign an executive order imposing a new 10% global tariff. Our Ben Bassick is in Washington, D.C. with what this means for more than 1,000 companies seeking refunds. Ben?
In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court delivered a major blow to President Trump's economic agenda, ruling against his use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to collect about $150 billion in tariff revenue. Justices Roberts, Gorsuch, and Barrett joining the progressives in a majority opinion saying the president's legal basis contains no reference to tariffs or duties. And until now, no president has read IEPA to confer such power. They say the president can't just claim sweeping economic powers without clear congressional approval. And tariffs don't fall under IEPA.
Crucially, what it doesn't have here is anything that refers to raising revenue. So it has a lot of verbs, it has a lot of actions that can be taken under this statute. It just doesn't have the one you want.
The court did not answer the biggest question of the day: what happens to the money already collected? The Trump administration says companies will receive full refunds without litigation, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says those payouts could take over a year. Last month, the president wrote on Truth Social, "We're screwed if the Supreme Court overturns the tariffs." The administration says it's ready with alternative statutes to recreate those tariffs without congressional approval. All 9 Supreme Court justices will sit face-to-face with the president next week at the State of the Union. Safe to say he may be reworking his speech right now. Back to you guys in studio.
Thank you. Great reporting, Ben, in Washington, D.C. U.S. growth slowed more than expected to close out 2025. This was due to the longest government shutdown in history, which impacted spending and investment. The cuts in federal spending due to the shutdown shaved off over 1 percentage point from last quarter. Consumers are also pulling back slightly on purchases.
GDP grew at a rate of just 1.4%, well below the Dow Jones estimate of 2.5% for the full 2025 year. The economy grew at a 2.2% pace, down from the 2.8% increase in 2024. Still, it was far from the worst-case scenario economists feared when President Trump unveiled his tariffs last spring.
Oil prices just jumped to their highest level in nearly 7 months. Brent crude, the global benchmark, rose nearly 2% to around $72 per barrel. U.S. oil rose to around $67 per barrel. This was the biggest single-day jump since October. This rise comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to flare. U.S. and Iranian envoys met in Geneva earlier this week for negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. Today, President Trump says he is considering limited military strikes to pressure Iran. The oil market's fear here is that a conflict could lead to a prolonged disruption of oil trade. Trump says he will make a decision in the next 10 to 15 days on whether to attack the Islamic Republic.
The Department of Homeland Security's shutdown stalemate continues as the White House and Democratic leaders cannot come to a consensus. Trump officials dismissed Democrats' latest proposal to overhaul federal immigration enforcement as very unserious. The partial shutdown began Saturday after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on how to fund the department through September. Unlike the record shutdown of the fall, this one only impacts agencies under the DHS umbrella, including Transportation, Coast Guard, Immigration Enforcement, and Border Patrol. The Senate is expected to vote Monday on the original bill. And when we come back on market shares, yet another update on Micron's advancements in Central New York, what the company is proposing when we return.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to Market Shares. Here in central New York, Micron is making headlines once again. The changes to the White Pine Commerce Center, which will eventually house Micron, are not hard to see.
From new signage to cleared trees, the plan is taking shape, but Micron proposed a plan that has lawmakers concerned about the company's next steps. Market Shares analyst Sheridan Lee is in studio to explain these new proposals. Sheridan?
Yeah, that's right. Micron is proposing a new industrial sewer district to process wastewater exclusively for its chip manufacturing facilities. County officials held a public hearing on this proposal this past Tuesday. Micron executives say creating a dedicated wastewater treatment facility would better protect local residents. The company plans to discharge nearly 50 million gallons of industrial wastewater daily, and it says keeping that separate from the county's existing system is safer for the community. To put that in perspective, Oak Orchard, Onondaga County's largest wastewater plant, currently treats roughly 84 million gallons per day, and the county approved upgrades in December to expand Oak Orchard's facility capacity from 10 to 15 million gallons per day. The kind of chemicals that Micron is processing and clearing in their water treatment facility are much more complex than the waste coming from residents' homes, and semiconductor manufacturing is a water-intensive process that Micron facilities will be using mostly for proprietary chemicals and processing high concentrate waste with all kinds of pollutants that require a different filtration process, and of course, we don't want other water to reach residents' home, which is why this is so much of a concern. But see, not everyone's on board. Critics are arguing that Micron's industrial sewer district poses serious environmental risk to the region. And for many residents, the promise of jobs and economic growth for central New York isn't enough to outweigh those concerns.
So, Sheridan, who are Micron's biggest competitors in this?
Yeah, Micron's main competitors are Samsung and SK Hynix, some pretty heavy hitters in the microchip industry. Both are based in South Korea, so Micron coming to central New York is a significant industrial move for the chip industry in the US. And as Micron grows, we will see who will rise or fall to the top of the chip company.
And now, Sheridan, should people invest in Micron stock? And if they are looking to invest, what should they expect?
Yeah, Micron stock recently has been soaring, especially over the past year. Micron has heavily been benefiting from this boom in AI as Micron produces chip processing firmware and memory chips. As it looks like if Micron stock will continue to grow as the AI industry spending is reached to about 3.3 trillion just next year. But Wall Street is beginning to group Micron in with the same category as AI stock because the hardware chips for Micron that they produce are also used for AI computing.
And how is the water treatment facility being funded?
Yeah, to be honest, it's really unclear where all of the funding for this water plant is coming from, but there's a mix of private investments from Micron facility and investors as a company, but also public funding from both the state and local governments for its water treatment facility. And Onondaga County Water Authority is expected to supply the water for the facility, which Micron will pay the county for by the gallon.
All right, thank you, Sheridan. The Warner Brothers acquisition is taking yet another turn. Netflix has granted a 7-day waiver to allow Warner Bros. To reopen deal talks with Paramount. Warner currently has an $83 billion pending deal with Netflix for its streaming and studio business. In response, Paramount offered the company's shareholders $30 per share. Warner now says that Paramount informed a board member that it will pay $31 per share if deal talks were to reopen. Since an original announcement, Netflix shares have fallen more than 30% and down 15% year to date. Investors are expressing concern that Netflix is pursuing Warner Brothers due to stalling engagement growth. Here was co-CEO Ted Sarandos' response.
We've been doing this for a long time. We have been incredibly disciplined buyers in our normal course of business, meaning we're pretty good at establishing what is the value for entertainment assets, audience relative to cost, all of those things. And remaining very disciplined in the process of doing that. So this shouldn't be any different than that.
Now Paramount has until February 23rd to present its best and final offer.
And Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says his company did not intend to make Instagram addictive to younger users. He was grilled in court earlier this week as part of a landmark social media trial. More than 1,600 plaintiffs are accusing the owners of major social media companies to knowingly design addictive products that harm users' mental health. Zuckerberg was questioned about Instagram's age policies, the company's values, and the implementation of beauty filters on the app. Meta denies all allegations and said in a statement that the question for the jury in Los Angeles is whether Instagram was a substantial factor in the plaintiff's mental health struggles.
The Commodity Futures Trading Commission is stepping in to stop what it is calling an onslaught of state-level regulation of prediction markets. CFTC Chairman Michael Selig posted on X that the agency has filed a friend of the court brief in support of Crypto.com in its battle with regulators in Nevada. This move is significant as it marks the first time the CFTC has taken sides in a fight between regulators and prediction markets. By intervening, Selig is arguing that prediction markets are federally regulated and not subject to state-level gambling laws. As states attempt to rein in these fast-growing platforms, the question is no longer whether these products lead to gambling, it's who gets to decide that question.
Sounds like quite a tricky question. And JP Morgan Chase hit back at President Trump's lawsuit against the company and its CEO, Jamie Dimon. JP Morgan is filing to move the case from Florida State Court to the federal court. They argue that the president's initial lawsuit fraudulently included Dimon.
Lawyers argue that the lawsuit was filed to Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act, which does not apply to federally regulated bank officers. By including Dimon, Trump's lawyers tried to keep the suit in state court. JP Morgan's lawyers are also pushing back on Trump's allegations that the bank dropped him as over political reasons as a customer. And coming up on market shares, tensions rise as Stephen Colbert and the Federal Communications Commission clash over an equal time rule. What both sides are saying when we return.
Welcome to Live from Studio B.
Welcome to another episode of Culturally and Technically Legal.
Previously on Survivor. Welcome back to the Esports Juice Box, where we break down this week's esports news into digestible sizes for easy consumption.
Thanks for sticking with us. The world's biggest food company has thawed on ice cream. Nestle says it is in advanced negotiations to sell its remaining ice cream business to its joint partner, Froneri. The division, which includes Haagen-Dazs and Drumstick, is valued at around $1.3 billion. Nestle's share price gained 3% in the morning trade in Zurich. The company says it will focus on its coffee, pet care, nutrition, and food and snack business instead. Riley, this is a pretty big sell. They are very well known for their ice cream. I love a good Haagen-Dazs little ice cream cup.
I know, when you just told me that, I was like, what? This is like their biggest thing and they're selling it off. But Over $1.3 billion, that's a
big
lot
sell.
of money. I can almost, if someone's offering me $1.3 billion for something, you know, I can understand.
Exactly, and a good opportunity for them to focus on other aspects of their brand, which is a very big and all-encompassing brand on pet care and food and snacks. I mean, they kind of have it all.
I didn't really even know they did pet care. I knew about the coffee, but I think that's going to be their #1 seller now.
Exactly, and so it'll be interesting to see if that goes through, and their loss on ice cream kind of is a bummer.
Yeah. And for the first time, Amazon has dethroned Walmart as the top seller of the company with the largest annual revenue. Yesterday, Walmart reported an annual revenue of around $713 billion, shy of Amazon's $716 billion result. It's more than just Amazon's speedy delivery, too, that led to these results. The company's cloud computing, advertising, and seller services also fueled the sales. On the other hand, 90% of Walmart's sales came from its physical store and websites. Walmart has been trying to follow Amazon's playbook and position itself as a tech company. Walmart moved from the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ back in December. The company also struck a deal with ChatGPT and Gemini earlier this month. Walmart's sales grew 4.6% last quarter, so it'll be interesting to see which company wins this AI battle. And can the federal government fine a late-night host for a political joke? It's a question making the headlines, and it brings the FCC, Stephen Colbert, and even Jimmy Fallon to the stage. Our analyst Vanessa Shimoni has more. Vanessa, what do you got?
Thanks, Riley. When Stephen Colbert delivers a biting political monologue on his late-night show, millions tune in, and sometimes critics push back. That's where the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, enters the conversation. But here's the key. The FCC regulates how content is broadcasted, not what political opinions are expressed. The agency can fine stations for indecency, profanity, and violating of technical broadcast rules. What it can't do is punish a comedian for simply criticizing a politician. This comes down to every American's First Amendment right. However, Colbert isn't the only comedian on thin ice with the subject. Over at NBC's Tonight Show host, Jimmy Fallon is also known for covering politics, but usually in a lighter, more easygoing manner. Different tone, but same constitutional right. However, when the interview between Colbert and James Tallarico was moved from CBS to YouTube, many disagreed it violated certain rights, while House Representative Jasmine Crockett said otherwise.
We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this segment, number one. That is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down, and we will do an official statement once we get another official statement that we anticipate is going to be coming from Paramount.
Really interesting reporting, Vanessa. Now, do you truly think Colbert will be fined?
A short answer, Teaghan, is no, because he wasn't indecent, and we looked at a list of what it takes to really be considered what are the violations for the FCC, and he didn't go into any of those. He was not indecent. He simply kind of just made a political, satirical joke, and like I kind of mentioned already, it falls under that First Amendment right. He has a freedom of speech, and freedom of speech is really the most important factor here. And, you know, between the fact that he didn't really violate anything and that he has these First Amendment rights, it really sets the bar high before the U.S. government can really have room to even step in at all and do anything.
I guess my question, Vanessa, is why does this matter now? Because it always seems like comedians have made jokes like this, but all of a sudden this is in the news. I guess I just don't understand.
And you're completely right. And honestly, I think that that's a lot of people's reactions is political jokes are always in these entertainment talk shows. It's always been a thing. But, you know, now internet presence is more important than ever. And when huge, really critical things happen on these entertainment shows, they take off online and they can go viral within minutes. And it's because of this that word just spreads around a lot quicker nowadays. And with that, views are maximized and reactions are maximized, but also that means that a large portion of those maximized reactions can also be really strongly negative. And, you know, things are just going to come as a result of that. So because this internet presence is so strong and it's so easy for these catastrophic things to go viral and for people to find out about them, it's simply just going to air more opinions all around.
And I think one big part of this is the equal time part of it, where they have to give equal time to political parties. Can you tell us a little more about that and how that plays into this whole thing?
Absolutely. And like you were saying, equal time is really important, but it almost is a little bit more important that the FCC they're facing a lot of political pressure on social media. And, without in the past, like, indecency has always been something going on these entertainment shows, but this is the first time that we're ever really seeing political satire as something that's being criticized by the government. We never really used to see that before, and we've never seen it ever. And so specifically with this controversy, it's really starting to get the government involved, and it's something unusual.
No, for the equal time part, is this really something that we're going to see moving forward, where the political pressure is going to get to it? And is that something we can expect to see moving forward, or do you think this is a one-time thing?
Well, honestly, I think it is something that we're going to see going forward, because with how strong everything is on the internet, like, internet presence in life is only ever going to go up. It's only going to get stronger. So I really do strongly believe that we are going to start to see this again and again and again, because things that happen on national TV, they're being shown all around anymore.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa, for that update.
And when we come back on Market Shares, with Valentine's Day in the rear view, St. Patrick's Day is moving into the spotlight. Which festive sweet treat has returned to menus? After the break.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Market Shares. A yearly sweet treat has returned to McDonald's, and this year you don't have to feel bad about indulging. At Syracuse area locations, 25 cents from each Shamrock Shake ordered will go to the Ronald McDonald House of Central New York.
And the nonprofit assists families of children receiving medical treatment at nearby hospitals. In 2025, Shamrock Shake sales helped serve more than 950 family members that stayed at the house. The shake is typically available through St. Patrick's Day. And we have a little surprise, Riley.
Yes.
It's Shamrock Shake for us to try out and test.
Courtesy of our producer, Mags Bellotti. Thank you for getting us these. And why don't we crack open the bag and see what's inside?
I have to say, this is my first ever Shamrock Shake.
Oh, you're in for a great surprise.
It sounds like, it looks
Mine
like you
already
already
has the straw in it, because before the show I had to give
a sneak peek
during the commercial break. Yeah, right.
Well, cheers. Oh.
It's pretty good.
It is good.
I get the hype. Do you get the hype?
Yeah, I totally get the hype, and it makes me feel even better that it's supporting, the Ronald McDonald House, which is just right down the road from Syracuse University.
So for your first time, I love it. I mean, mint chocolate chip ice cream is my favorite ice cream. That's my number one every time I get ice cream. Now, you were talking about you love Thin Mints earlier.
Yeah, I do love a good Thin Mint.
So how does this compare? What's your review? I want to hear it.
It's really good. I think it's more minty than I thought it would be. With a mint chocolate chip and a York peppermint patty, you kind of have that mint and chocolate. So I'm not getting the chocolate here, but the mint is really good, nice and fresh.
Gets you in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Gets you in the mood for
ready for
St.
some St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Yeah.
Some Green Beer Sunday activity.
And Orange Crate is doing Green Beer Saturday, so it's a kind of battle of the green beers.
Okay. Well, hopefully we might. Don't be on the lookout. That's all the time we have for you on this episode of Market Shares. Be sure to follow us on our social medias at CitrusTV News and like us on Facebook. I'm Riley Underwood.
And I'm Teaghan Brostrom. Have a great night and an early St. Patrick's Day, Syracuse. Cheers.